I'm joined by visiting fellow with the US Study Centre, Bruce Wolpe. Bruce, thanks for joining us this
Charlotte,
morning.
great to be here. No shortage of material today.
No, there never is. Bruce, tell us a little bit about why is the impeachment investigation happening now, and what is the difference in the Trump-Ukraine case as opposed to the claims of Russian interference?
Well, those claims are similar. Did the president solicit foreign involvement in an American election campaign? And what happened was there was a call that the president had with the president of Ukraine. People listening in on the call, that's customary, their senior national security staff and so forth, heard things that they had not heard a president say before to a foreign leader. And there's a transcript of the call that was released this week. The transcript said, well, let's talk about Ukraine, and I'd like you to do me a favor. And the favor was to find information on corruption involving Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden, and to make that available. So the president, according to this transcript, asked a foreign leader to find dirt on his #1 political opponent that would be used in an American political campaign. And it was just quite astonishing, and people remain astonished, and that has set off what we've seen as a march towards impeachment.
So in this particular Ukraine scandal, as opposed to the Russian scandal, is there more evidence, I guess, this time, or would we get closer to impeachment?
This is hard and fast evidence. The words are the words, and people will make their judgment about it. The important thing on Robert Mueller, he did not find a criminal conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russians. The Russians were active. They interfered in the American election. But Mueller could not find, and if anyone was going to find it, it was going to be him. He's forensic. He was expert, highly regarded. He did not find direct ties between Trump campaign officials and the Russians to say, do this, help on that. The Russians were doing it anyway. And so that was really important. Here, there's a transcript, and members of the House are going to judge the words as to whether this constitutes a high crime or misdemeanor that warrants impeachment.
Now, Bruce, just this morning, President Trump, he tweeted a video calling the impeachment the greatest scam in the history of American politics. Let's have a listen to that.
What's going on now is the single greatest scam in the history of American politics. The Democrats want to take away your guns. They want to take away your health care. They want to take away your vote. They want to take away your freedom. They want to take away your judges. They want to take away everything. We can never let this happen. We're fighting to drain the swamp, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And you see why we have to do it. Because our country is at stake like never before. It's all very simple. They're trying to stop me because I'm fighting for you, and I'll never let that happen.
So he's saying here that he's the worst treated president in history. Do you think he's being a bit dramatic?
Bill Clinton felt that he was the worst treated president in history when he was under impeachment. And I'm sure Andrew Johnson felt the same way in 1867. As far as this is concerned, this is a relatively high road message. Trump absolutely has to ensure that his base is with him throughout this ordeal. And those words are absolutely directed to his people and saying, you're with me, I'm with you, you stick with me, I will stick with you. If he doesn't have his base, he's in real trouble. So I thought it was, for Trump, relatively high road appeal to those who are his strongest supporters. And I think it'll work for him with his base.
A strong strategy then. What does it mean for Trump, and what are the implications for the Democrats, this impeachment?
The conventional wisdom on impeachment is that it backfires on you politically. When Republicans moved to impeach President Clinton in 1998, it backfired on the Republicans, and Democrats gained in Congress. So the thinking was, voters send you to Washington to serve in Congress, to do the work of the American people, and don't engage in raw political politics, raw partisan politics. Don't impeach him. And the polls have shown 60-40. The American people, they have concerns about Trump. His approval rating has never risen above like 45%. They have concerns about him, but an election is coming. Let it play out, and so forth. So now this has been jump-started, and you have impeachment really underway. And so the question is it going to backfire against the Democrats or not? And Democrats are making the calculation that the crime that have occurred is so significant and goes to the basic issue of, is this man fit for office, that notwithstanding the political risk, it's their duty to hold him to account. And this is the way they're going to do it. So it is a huge political gamble. But as my reading of the House Democrats right now is, they're fully prepared to impeach him and impeach him by Christmas.
And how do you think that will affect the 2020 presidential campaign?
It's new territory. We've never had an impeachment occur during a presidential campaign. and there is this issue of political risk. So it's kind of putting all the dice on the table, and no one knows exactly how it's going to come out. Now, Trump is unpopular, but it is very hard to deny a president a second term, and I think he's been at least 50-50 for re-election. So this completely mixes it up. And Joe Biden, the center of this controversy, he's the leading candidate. What if he's the nominee? Does he carry baggage into the election? What if the baggage removes him and you have Elizabeth Warren? Is she too far left to be competitive against Trump? And Trump, is he hurt by all these allegations, and is his standing diminished in the coming months because people see this affair unfold? So all unknown territory. We haven't been here before. Highly controversial.
Yeah, as you say, it's a long time since we've had a US president that hasn't had a second term.
Yes.
And there's also a lot of similarities drawn, I think, in the media, particularly this week, over the Bill Clinton impeachment. What's the difference?
The difference, in my judgment, it was a sex scandal with Clinton. This is something more serious, and I think, and this is much more troubling to Republicans than Clinton's misdemeanors were to Democrats in 1998. The issue of foreign involvement in American elections, after the Russians did what they did in 2016, there's consensus, bipartisan, and at the highest levels of the national security establishment, this is a mortal threat to American democracy. So for a president to be proactive in enlisting foreign involvement in another U.S. election, this is really striking the nerve. That's why this is so much more powerful than what Mueller found, and this is why the impeachment process is moving ahead so expeditiously.
Now, just finally, of course, Joe Biden, he's out in Denver, in Colorado. He's campaigning. You've got an update on that too?
I do. I spoke with someone who was at a rally with Joe Biden about 3 hours ago in Denver, and I asked her, how did you find him? She found him upbeat, confident, that he looked good, and was highly energized. He didn't speak about impeachment. He talked about why he's running for president, which is, we have to take our country back. That's his message. He says, you remember the Nazis marching in Charlottesville? That's bad for America, and we need a new future. She found him very impressive on his game, and which is interesting given the reporting that he has a lot of baggage. Is he too old, too much of the past, and has been faltering? She found a very strong presidential candidate.
Well, I think that's definitely a strategy, that he's distancing himself from the impeachment, as you say, because it does sometimes backfire.
A lot of other people are doing that work for him, so yes.